Hey, peace, 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 family. It is by no surprise that for AI April we are having technical difficulties, but thank God, thank God, thank God, we are here, we are live. Go and share this with all your people, with all your friends. Let them know that AI April is happening. The new wave is live and in effect right here, right now. So anybody watching, share this with your family, share this with your friends. Let it go out before all the world so they know that the spirit is still alive and we always stay in the flow. Anyway, family, peace, peace, peace. My name is Reverend YaNi Davis, the peace pastor, the peace poet, the peace prophet. Look, whatever you want to call me, I said it the other day. Just make sure you put some respect on my name. I am the founder of my super natural life with the A. I had to put a little hip hop flair and flavor on it. But my supernatural life is all about providing holistic communal care to folks living with chronic conditions of the body and the mind. It is all about making accessible holistic care and spiritual care for our folks that need it the most. So we're providing coaching, creativity, and community in a transformed way so that we can all be transformed by spirituality and how it's rolling out in 2021. Family, we've got so much going on. So much is coming up around the planet. Whether we're thinking about the pandemic taking the lives of so many people, whether we think about the need for Black lives to matter. When we think about Black and brown children being killed day after day, when we think about members of our Asian community being shot down for no reason, when we think about what's happening in India, when we think about Africa, when we think about all of these realities, truly, it is time for healing. It is time for change, and it is time for transformation. So we're glad you could be here with us today. So, family, it's AI April. And I just wanted to explain to you what AI is, artificial intelligence, okay? So I pulled a definition. It refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think like humans and mimic their actions. The term may also be applied to any machine that exhibits traits associated with the human mind, such as learning and problem solving. Well, when I think about AI, I think about the ways that we can heal with this technology. I think about all the ways that we can access God with this technology. And I remember being in seminary, and I was infatuated with classes like race, religion, and justice, compassion in action, your brain on God, and all of the womanist courses that I took. So we're about to get this thing started, family. What? I'ma say no more. And I want to bring up our first guest. My dear friend Lauren, coming in from ATL. If we could bring Lauren up and get this thing started right. Folks, drop in the chat where you're tuning in from, why you're tuning in today, what you want to hear about, what you think about my supernatural life. And yes, let's bring Lauren on up. Let's get it going. Hey,
Hey.
hey,
Okay, I
friend.
think I'm here. Hey,
How
what's
are
up?
you?
I'm good. You're so motivational. You're
Oh, I
really,
tried.
I'm moving right now, so like my energy's low, but that just really helped bring me up.
That's good. I mean, you made it. You made it. And guess what?
Here.
I love you a latte. Hey. I'm gonna talk about that a little later to the people. But okay, let the folks know who you are, what you're all about, and yeah, just let us know a bit about you, friend.
All right, so I am Senorita Awesome. Currently based in Atlanta, Georgia. Singer-songwriter, musician. I don't know. I like to spread love via
Yes.
song
Oh my
and just
goodness.
like kind of like energies and stuff like that. I mean, I've been doing music playing music since I was a kid and been, kind of singer songwriting and since like 2006-ish. So a
Yep.
while now. This is 2021.
Yep,
It's
for
crazy.
real. And I remember those days of of you getting started and like performing and actually like getting out there and on the scene, and your name, like how your name, like where did that even come from?
Like I was telling you, that conference that you went to, whatever
Okay.
it was, some kind of women's empowerment, who knows? You were always at a conference.
At some
Um,
conference. Yeah.
back in 2006,
Oh my goodness.
2007. So,
And that's how you got your
um,
name. I came back from the conference and I was like, hey, awesome. Hey,
yeah,
awesome.
it was just like, it was just very bizarre to us that people were just calling each other awesome. And now it's like, I mean, but if you are, you are. Like,
Yes, here we are. And
you
so,
know.
as you think about your music, is there anything in it that kind of speaks to your spirituality or speaks to your healing and your wholeness in the world?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's all, like music saved my life, literally.
Yes.
Like, um, it's just always, it's just like a way to express and connect with folks. Like I've terrible social anxiety, very bad at talking to people about normal things. But like, I've been able to use my music to kind of connect with people in that way and just kind of like going from there. It's kind of like an introduction thing. And then, it's also just a way to just like, I like storytelling.
Yeah.
And poetry was like my main jam,
Yep.
and after I got wrongfully evicted from an apartment, and literally all I had was my guitar
Mm.
and the clothes on my back, and it was just like, and I lost like all of my written poetry, and from like, I think that kind of like made a shift for me. It was just
Mm.
like, if the music is just, I mean, the words are there, but like the music is like it's like
Mm.
in there, it's irrefutable, like you
Yes.
can't deny its presence. And it's like, so it's just, I just kind of really shifted gears then, because it was like,
Yeah.
you can't take the music, like it's there, like like
Mm.
the music can't go anywhere. If I gotta sing, if I gotta hum it, if I gotta tap my foot on the floor, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Look.
just, there's so many different elements, and like, like our bodies are instruments, like everything is just, it's just in us, so I don't know, like I think that's kind of like how I connect, like spiritually, with my music, is just like connecting with others through, specifically through just like, you know finding the beauty and actually like acknowledging the pain and
Mm.
moving through it, because people just
Yep.
want to be like, here, I'm gonna put a band-aid on it. When it's done healing, the band-aid will come off. And it's like, nah, like
We're not
you
doing
gotta
that.
change the band-aid, you gotta wash it out, you gotta hit it with the Neosporin, you gotta fresh it, like it's a whole,
Whole
all of
thing.
that. And then
Yep.
then you get to the end, and it's like, wow, like, and
There
it's
it is.
just, yeah, like it's just, I just really enjoy, I feel very blessed that I have this gift. I didn't ask for this. Like, I
Mm.
learned how to play guitar because one literally showed up at my house one day when I was in high school. I was like, well,
Wow.
I play guitar now, so it's
Yep.
just,
You
yeah.
said something interesting, sis. You said our bodies are instruments. Our bodies are instruments. That's even how we connected, right? We connected singing, right? We
Right.
connected making music, using our voices how we could, in the Glee Club as Spellman, and have been friends and connecting ever since with this music, using our bodies as instruments to empower and encourage and inspire the people. Like, how cool. I wanted to ask though, because I know for me, things have shifted so much in terms of music and art and the pandemic. What have things been like for you in terms of music and the pandemic, and maybe even things opening back up now?
I mean, it was terrible. I'm not gonna lie, like, because for me, like my favorite part about like all of the processes of music is literally like just being on stage, and like I feel like, like connecting with everybody's energy in that way. Like, I
Oh,
hate being in the studio, and live streams are being in the studio, and it's just like, it's
no,
hard.
no.
It's really hard for me to kind of like connect with folks in that
Yeah,
way, and draw that same type of energy, and bring that same type of like, hypeness
yeah,
to like, and translating that like sitting in a room by myself looking at my phone, you know, like it's totally different. But, you know, I did like, I always had a couple of people in the room. I was like, this is just too weird, you know, and stuff like that. You know, especially at first. And then I feel like I kind of, you know, finally found my groove by just like, I combated like being on Zoom. Like I literally would have like 3 different phones, 2 computers, so I could see everybody, you know. Like, I'm like, I want to see everybody. Like I worked with a lot of camps last summer, and so I was just like, you know, seeing their little faces and their little flame emojis in the chat. You know, it just became a different way to kind of exchange the energy. And I am definitely excited. I've actually done 2 live performances in the past couple of weeks back, like on a stage, and you know, it was weird. I was like, no, this is not supposed to be weird. Like, no, this is supposed to be awesome. But I just think it's just like, it's been such a shift. And now I'm kind of like in this blended space, you know, like, you know, like here I am on Facebook Live, you know, as opposed to like, you know, being live here. So this next song I'm going to do for y'all is called My Anthem. And it's really about just kind of owning who you are and embracing it and, you know, living your life out loud on purpose. So I hope y'all enjoy it. I'm alive and I'm still breathing. My heart continues beating, in spite of all my downfalls. Each broken bone will make me stronger if I stop pretending everything will appear before me. Dreams I make real to me. Sometimes nightmares overtake me. I just keep living what life is all about. And while you scream and shout and pray for mistakes I never made, you pray over steps I'll never take. Far too hard to love myself. Won't let your doubt take that away. So I'm living, yeah, still living, living to the fullest all the way. Living to the fullest all the way. Each day I hesitate to accept the truth. I know I stand out from it, always shows, it just confirm the thoughts that flow through rivers deep and pond shallow. I'm feeling free, letting go. Past the light, the future's lost. No time to stop. You think I know? I just keep living what life is all about. And while you scream and shout and pray for mistakes I never made, you pray over steps I'll never take. Far too hard to love myself. Don't let your doubt take that away. So I'm living, yeah, I'm living, living to the fullest all the way. Said I'm living, yeah, still living, living to the fullest all the way. I've opened up and I have seen. Took too much, I gave you everything, but now my happiness has got the best of me. No bleeding, I should have known to let you go. Hope you're listening. I'm alive and I'm still breathing. My heart continues beating. I just keep living what life is all about. And while you scream and shout, pray for mistakes I never made, Pray, oh, steps I'll never take. Far too hard to love myself. Already old, they'll take that away. So I'm living, yeah, I'm living, yeah, I'm living, yeah, I'm living, yeah, said living, yeah, still living.
Here, I'm actually seeing that we're getting views on the YouTube and also on the Facebook pages as people are hanging on with us. All right, y'all, it makes me think about artificial intelligence and how we might be able to roll out some of this tech a little more efficiently in the future. But thank you so much, family, for real life experiencing some of these advancements and some of these technological mistakes and mix-ups and mishaps that happen sometimes. So we're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it moving. Head on over to my supernaturallife.org and donate a latte or 20 to the org so that we can build out our website, get our coaches on board, and also expand our educational programming. We love you a latte. Next up, I'm going to bring up my dear, dear friend, Maria of H & Co. Here we go, y'all. And I'm now working all the controls. How about that?
Yay!
Let's go. Maria, I love you, honey. Where are you? What's going on? Tell me the good news.
Well, hey, it is so good to be with you. And I love partnering with you, working with you, doing projects with you. But more than just being colleagues, we are friends and family. And I just love being with you. I love what you're about. I love what you're doing in the world. And I have all to do to just kind of keep up with what you're doing. Every time I turn around, you're launching something new. I love your energy so much. You know, and I was just kind of thinking here as I was saying, I was like, oh, YaNi is just like, probably like sweating and trying to make this work over there. And my heart was just going out to you because, you know, everything we do now is virtual. And if this doesn't work, we're out of the platform. So I'm glad you got it up and running. This is so good. But yeah, I'm in the UK at the moment. It's almost 1 a.m.
Yes, I know. Thank you for showing up and showing out as you always do. I'm so grateful. So grateful. So let's get it started like this. Tell us a little bit about your mission and vision in life, and then also take us on a journey around what H & Co is.
Yeah. So I've been doing the work of innovation and reimagination and reconfiguration of Western Christianity for the last several years now. I work theologically speaking, you know, mainly within radical theology, post-theism, post-God, post-Christian, post-church. And that is very different from, you know, atheist or agnostic, or these things don't exist, or it's all broken, or it's all over. It just means post is what is past traditional notions of all of this stuff, traditional notions of God and church and divine caregiver constructs, and, you know, essentially all of Western Christianity through, you know, pre-modern and modern times. And what does it look like now to really engage faith well in ways that are transformational, in ways where meaning making is happening and actually matters for, you know, the lives that we're living here and now. And, you know, in terms of H & Co, it's an organization that I launched a little over a year ago with my best friend, who's the co-creator of all the work I do. The work we do is centered in the intersections of faith and culture and art and meaning making, and what it looks like to really embrace complexity, our humanity and faith in the 21st century, in the worlds in which we find ourselves living. So we do a lot of curriculum. We do culture classes almost every month. We have cohorts for churches and leaders, you know, how to engage future church and future faith communities, which essentially is the present. And what does it all look like to hold all of our world together in tension, in complexity and uncertainty? So yeah, it's a wild ride. We have a podcast, Sacred Anarchy is a post-church podcast. I have a Patreon where I put out fresh content every week. I work with people one-on-one as well. So yeah, things are busy. It was good.
Oh, I love it. I mean, that's big work. What does it mean to hold the world together in the midst of the tension and the complexities? Like
Well, I don't know. We're all trying our best, right? At the end of the day, we're all just trying to figure it out together. It's about admitting that there's complexity. That's like part of the issue. You know, so many times Christians, you know, especially religious right and more conservative fundamental types, are very certain about what they think about all of this stuff. And so just admitting that there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to engaging any kind of faith. Is a big step forward.
Absolutely. See, and so as I was looking through some of your work, because I do so often, I love engaging with it, and all of the elements of radicalization, and liberation, and future thinking, futuristic thinking. One post you talked about liberation, not liberalization, and basically moving our ethics from one place to another, as we think about being free, both in our bodies, in society, and in the world. Tell me a little bit more about that. Liberation versus liberalization.
Yeah. I like the way you said it better than I say it, but I'll give it a go. So, liberalization is really just a matter of re-entrenching on a different side. You know, the liberal left and the progressives love to sort of look at the religious right and the conservatives and say how fundamentalist they are about everything and how siloed and entrenched they are. But what we find is, you know, the liberal side of Christianity is, you know, just as entrenched and just as fundamental and militant about some of the things that they believe and think as well. The issue with both sides, like so many sides, like, you know, so many polarities on a spectrum are, you know, is that they're just kind of playing for the other team, but the certainty piece is still in place. So, you know, when we're talking about, you know, when I say post-God and post-Christianity and post-theist, that all means like being post-divine caregiver constructs, post the big God in the sky, post-certainty, post metaphysicality and supernaturalism and object and being an agency outside of ourselves, and being certain about the, you know, empirical nature of all of these things, which it's really impossible to do. And so I always encourage people to engage theological realities instead of empirical ones, because the empirical ones are just impossible. They're boring. They're not half as dimensional as we are as humans, and they don't do any justice to kind of the complexities, as we were saying earlier, of who we are. And so when we talk about liberation versus liberalization, you know, liberalization of Christianity is just playing for the other team, but it's still within a web of theism. And traditional theism is a problem because we still serve God. God's just working for us now, but the construct of God, no matter whose team that God is on, is still a particular construct that comes out of pre-modern and modern understandings of God, and what it all means to engage that God. And so liberation is breaking out of that, transcending that spectrum, transcending that conversation that is really becoming obsolete, where people are just going back and forth like a ping pong match and nothing's ever getting done, and saying, let's ask the really important questions of humanity and our mechanism for meaning making, essentially.
And I feel like so many people are kind of stuck in this traditional mindset where we aren't able to break forth into actual liberation in the world, right? Which makes me think of some of the topics we've talked about and have conversed about. And have gone deep around, as we think about liberation theology, as we think about Black theology, as we think about feminism, as we think about even eschatology, right? And theology. What does it mean to be free in our thinking and our understanding and our beliefs of God? And so I love and adore the work that you're doing. All right. Here's where I want to go next. You actually had a post on what we're talking about today, right? Healing in this virtual world. So there was a post that you made on artificial intelligence and the image of God, the Imago Dei, right? So oftentimes we don't talk about that outside of seminary. So I love that you're bringing all of these theological concepts to the forefront in a virtual world, And so tell us a little bit more about artificial intelligence and the image of God as it comes up for you.
Yeah, well, you know, there's so much to say about digitality and virtuality and technology at this stage in the game, because it's really changing everything, and it's changing our gods, to be perfectly honest with you. There was an article out a few years ago in a British online publication where it talked about salvation and algorithms and artificial intelligence and all of this. And one of the quotes from this article said, "New technologies kill old gods and give birth to new gods. And we don't understand how oftentimes our idea of God is really just a technological advance. You know, it really is just an evolution of humanity making sense of all of our life. You know, and if God is technology, then what is the next God that is going to be born? You know, and born BORN and BORNE. You know, into society, into culture. And when we start talking about AI, it's kind of a really interesting thing, because on one hand, you know, a lot of people could maybe roll their eyes and be like, okay, I just want to follow Jesus. I just want to figure out how to be a good Christian and break away from the patriarchy and the white supremacy and all of the bad things that have been done in the name of Christianity, and like, you know, move on and you know, figure it out with integrity and all of these things. And I'm totally on board with that, because we're not talking about AI in terms of like having our head in the trenches of Silicon Valley and like trying to build all this up. Where the AI conversation becomes important for Christianity is when we're talking about the image of God and what bears that image. And I think that that is a human question, because in a time where there should be more acceptance, where there should be more inclusivity, where there should be more unity and oneness, it seems that there's never been more hate. It seems that there's never been more violence and more division and just absolute ugliness and hate in the world. And there are a lot of people going around deciding who bears the image of God and who doesn't. Yeah. And so where we look to AI in this conversation is AI is forcing the question, what is the image of God? Is it an anthropomorphic one, or is it a theological one? Again, because a lot of people are saying, nope, the image of God looks like this. It's white or cisgendered or, you know, whatever you want to say. And so this forces that where people don't want to have the conversation. I know a lot of people are keen to have it, and that's great. And we should be having it. That is the future. That is the way we're going to heal. But for the people who don't want to have it and are really adamant about not having it, this is forcing that conversation. It's forcing us to see everyone and all things as image bearers. This conversation might not come up in our lifetime, but it's going to come up very soon, because the AI technology is just insane. And if I had more time, we could talk about it. But that's the important theological question here when it comes to AI.
Ooh, wait! I should have been. I'm trying to take some notes. It's moving too quick. All right, so
I know we're on a limited time frame here, so I'm like just talking a mile a minute. I'm trying to give you some stuff that I know you want.
I thank you. You said we're forced to see the image of God in all things. Okay?
Yeah.
So we want to take God from the anthropomorphized kind of view of God in the sky and make God in our own images. AI is allowing us to do that. The virtual world is allowing us to come together in so many new ways. Look at us across the waters doing something we never thought we could do. And so my last question to you is, as you think about the future of healing, what's coming up for you? What are we looking at? What are you up to? And what do we need to know?
The future of healing. Oh my word. Oh my goodness. God, the future of healing. I just think that.
I'm sorry. I know. You do it to me too. You hit me.
I know. I deserve this. I really do. I deserve it because I've done this to you so many times. I would say, aside from like the digital conversation, because I think the digitality piece is huge. And I think that the Christians who are having the culture wars right now is a big mistake, because what we know of humanity, how we understand ourselves within the world, how we understand God, how those sacred narratives come to us, how we understand scripture, how we understand the sacred scriptures of others, all of these things are so incredibly socially embedded. Nothing is outside of space and time. Nothing is outside of social location. We are all a product of our environment and our social stimuli and relationships and shared experiences and our, stories and people who have come before us and all of these things. So, for people to say we need to take back things from culture, or technology is ruining things, or the digital turn is just creating chaos and we're losing ourselves, we're losing our, that is the wrong tree to be barking up. And it's not a culture war, it's a culture invitation. It's an invitation for faith and God and Christianity, or whatever your spiritual narrative of choice or your horizon of choice is to finally move forward. Because historically, and I won't talk so much interfaith, because I think we're talking specifically within the nervation of Christianity and Western Christianity at the moment in this conversation. Historically, the church has been at least 10 or 20 years behind all like advances in culture. And I think that's why they hate culture, because they're just so damn jealous of it because it's just, doing so many good things. So, in terms of virtuality and digitality, the pandemic changed everything for a lot of churches, and how people are interacting relationally and with spiritual and sacred communities, and all of that. And so they've been forced to really invite in what they thought was potentially, the enemy for a long time. And I think they're still trying to reckon with that. I mean, in a world where we have, facial recognition and, microchips under people's skin, and, creative reproduction, and, sex bots, replacing sex workers in brothels and all, churches are still trying to figure out the newfangled, social media. It's like ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So I think in terms of the future and where healing needs to happen, is the church really needs to reckon with the enemy that they've made of culture. It's just not cool. And then we need to see ourselves as deeply socially embedded in our contexts, and figure out what it looks like for our contexts to transform us, because our contexts have something to say, and what it looks like for us also to have a symbiotic relationship where we get to transform, as well. It's dialogical, it's mutual. There's a mutuality there. We need to listen, and so on and so forth.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So grateful for this time, for this moment, family, as I'm figuring out this technology, as I'm figuring out this virtual world in my own way. Look, family, drop in the comments where you're signing on from. Head to the My Supernatural Life page on Instagram, on Facebook. Go to our website, mysupernaturallife.org. Make a donation. We would love for you to give a latte or 20 towards providing holistic communal care in the world via coaching, creativity, and community. As a kidney transplant survivor, I know what it is to not have someone to talk to. I know what it is to need someone to just help me make it to the next day, family. I know what it is to be inspired by creativity and artistry and community leaders doing the real work in the world. So, family, help me amplify, help me elevate, help me take this thing to the next level. All right. Woo, we got some comments coming in. We got beautiful coming in from Courtney, one of our interns, signing on, having a good word. We got Andy coming on from San Diego. Andy, I love you. Thank you for being on our board and making all of this possible. Florida is in the proverbial building. Whoop, whoop. There we go. MySupernaturalLife.org is right there, family. MySupernaturalLife.org, and check us out. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We about to end this thing with one of my dear, dear brothers. He's not just my Morehouse brother. He's also my Claremont School of Theology brother. He's also my brother in this creative arts, healing, tech, life, virtual love thing. And I just want to welcome Dr. Philip Butler to the New Wave AIA Pro.
Burr, 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 burr. Yeah, you know the vibes.
Yeah. What's up, Phil? If you could just give us a little bit about you, who you are, what you're up to, where you're at, let the people know.
Sure. My name is Philip Butler. I am I'm assistant professor of theology and Black post-human artificial intelligence systems at Olive School of Theology in Denver, Colorado. I'm the founder of the Seeker Project, a distinctly Black artificial intelligence with mental health capacities. We've been working on the project for about 4 years now, and it's evolved tremendously. Recently completed my level 1 training for internal family systems therapy, and it has heavily influenced the build out of the robot or of Seeker and its framework. But Seeker basically functions as kind of like a black kind of AI spiritual guide or friend. And if, for folks who want to be a bit more technical, it does have kind of these therapeutic capacities, and so it centers Black experiences. It talks to you as if it has had a Black experience, lived one, and is able to relate to that as such. And so, in a world where less than 4% of clinicians and mental health professionals are Black and have kind of a culturally relevant perspective as it pertains to Black folks, we made Seeker with this kind of spiritually intuitive ability to be able to help folks kind of walk through what's going on in their head.
Wow. I love it. And I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing. And specifically catering it to the souls of Black folks, right? I feel like that is so important, right? As we even think about all the technological advancements that are being rolled out that aren't necessarily for our people. Real quick, I want to take you back to your intro. Some folks, we got some comments coming up about your titles. Can you tell us a little more about your titles and the truth behind them, right? The person behind them, the thought behind it, the ideology behind it. So can you take us a little deeper into your titles so folks can know?
Sure. So I guess will start with the assistant professor of theology and Black posthuman artificial intelligence system. So Black posthumanism it actually is the underlying thought of my first text. Right. So I'm the author of Black transhuman liberation theology. Came out 2019. In it, we explore the theoretics and the potentialities around what would happen if Black folks were to kind of take up technology to not only augment Black bodies, but also augment Black spiritualities. And so, but in able to do that, for me, the transhumanist piece becomes a placeholder, or if a kind of like a stopping point, if you will, on the path somewhere else, and that would be Black posthumanism. And so, in this regard, I'm asking folks in a world where people are asking people to disregard race. I'm asking folks to kind of disregard humanity because of the ways that it operates as kind of this stratified space that is meant to keep folks out of. And so maintain your cultural lineage and your genealogies and where you came from to work towards this more kind of decolonial and in many ways anti-colonial stance of what it means to maintain who you are and where you came from. And so this underlies this kind of Black transhumanism to be this kind of post-human, and not post in the sense that we've left humanity behind, but post in the sense that we are destroying everything that humanity has tried to assert kind of in a larger framework. This world that we live in predominantly, right, it is the production of, quote unquote, enlightenment thinking, or these framings of what it is to be a human and what's not to be human, or to be subhuman or extra human. But even in that, there's this wanting to restore humanity to folks who, quote unquote, never had it. And I argue not in the book, but in the work that I'm doing right now, primarily that Black folks have always been something different. They were never really human to begin with. And the idea, like I think a young lady said, that God is a technology. I also argue that human is a technology. It's something that is an extension of who we try to be, and it's kind of this the goal for white folks and kind of this carrot for Black folks or folks from the global majority to try to chase and not necessarily attain quite ever.
Wow. Might not attain quite ever. And so perhaps part of what you're saying is that we won't quite get to the promised land without some technology, without this virtual world manifesting itself in all of the ways that we envision. Is there any accuracy to that?
Now, I think you're right, but I think for me, the question is, what isn't technology, right? Like, how are our bodies not technology? How are our thoughts not a technology? And if we look at technology, kind of in a basic way of it as an extension of ourselves, and so what isn't an extension of who we are already? Whether it, be the internalities of ourselves to maintain our life, through like the the clothes that we have on to make sure we have a certain level of privacy,
Yeah.
right? The technology that we're engaging with right now, the food that we eat that sustains our livelihood, so on and so forth. Everything becomes a technology of how we maintain life. And so I think a lot of ways when we look at tech as this thing being separate from us or separate from what's natural, right? I think technology can be easily reconstructed as the reconfiguration of nature. You know, we took these minerals, you know, we took these resources, we put them together in a different way, and now we have something else that we utilize in a different fashion. And so technology can be something as simple as just a reconfiguration of nature, which is still they're still natural elements. They're just presented to us in different ways.
Natural elements presented to us in different ways. There's a term that you used. Oh, I can't remember where. Probably an article, probably on Seeker. I don't know. But could you tell me a little bit more about spirit technology? Spirit technology, in particular, is a phrase that I feel drawn to. That I've been doing some research around. But please give a little more information around spirit technology and its value. Please.
I think that yeah, because it was something we posted on IG a few months ago about Seeker being spirit tech, right? The thing
Yeah.
that is meant to to grow your body, right? So like a basic level definition of transhumanism is anything to augment human psychology, physical bodies, and intellect. But you could also argue there's a fourth category that you could also augment your spirituality. And so technologies become an extension of something, but it also helps to build something up. And so look at spirit tech as something that is able to augment one's spiritual space, one's spiritual disposition, and simultaneously give one the opportunity to maintain spiritual states. And so again, this spiritual technology is the very thing that helps us maintain grounded in the midst of this kind of dynamic and complex world, and where at any moment things can be different than what they were previously. And so spirit text helps us stay grounded, helps us kind of go further into who we are, and allows us to go into spaces spiritually that we may not have been able to without the technology that has allowed us to be spirit. Like you could say old black churches were spirit tech at one point, but folks, at the rate of the speed of the world goes, folks need spirit tech at their fingertips. They need it right here, right now, yesterday, right? And so the technology that we're building allows for spirit technology to be with you at any given moment, right? Because even if it was old black church, who you gonna call at 3 a.m? You gotta wait for somebody to pick up the phone. And so we create this spirit tech that's available to you at any given moment. You have the capacity to move through different states, right? And come out on the other end differently than you were previously.
Yep. And you just touched on something that I hope to I will roll out. Let's not even deal with the hope. I got enough people around here to make it happen. I got enough beautiful and brilliant minds to make it happen. But
Yes, you
what would
do.
it look like if people were actually able to access a coach, right? When they're going through crises moments. For me, it was laying up on dialysis 12 hours at night. For others, it might be while you're receiving your radiation treatment. What would it mean to have a call and a check-in with the coach? What if you are in college, you going to Morehouse, going to Spelman, going to Clark, and you need
Hey,
some motivation, right, to make it through that final semester, to make it through midterms, and you can't go to Miami, but you need somebody to, what would that
to be
look
right
like?
there with you.
Right? Folks
Yeah.
entering these careers, right? Don't know what to do. I know so many young women ministers have no clue how to navigate, what to do, how to negotiate a salary, how to stay in a position and stay encouraged. What would it look like for this
Well,
technology to be available just like that? Just like that.
I think it can be easily done. I think that's even something that we always talk about teaming up in different ways. For us, like this could be something that we could easily build into a secret platform, right? Where we have people like, oh, you want to talk to a person at this moment, or you dealing with something specific. You've gone through the conversation with Seeker, you've already talked about it, but you want something a bit more, or even to the point where we have like where you're engaging Seeker on something that's higher than Seeker's pay grade, right? Like there is some limitations to the interface, and so you need to talk to a person. And so one of the things we'd like to do is building a network of individuals, and simultaneously we want to be able to be connected with community folks like doulas and healers and so on and so forth, but simultaneously give us a connection with social workers, right? So that when they're not calling the police, they calling social workers, and these are the people that we're connected with. We can have a continuation of the conversation folks are already having with Seeker, with these emergency response folks or non-emergency mental health response folks, so that you can have, so that these folks are having awareness of you, and that Seeker, it becomes again this kind of conduit, an extension of this friendship that exists in this kind of digital reality.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love it. Inhale by exhale. Recognize that all creation is moving through you and around you. The hovering of the spirit just above you, calling forth the fullness of your being, calling forth the faithfulness you've cultivated since being knit in your mother's womb. We bring to remembrance an empty tomb, the cries of the women, the stillness of grief. We sit in the silence of everyday trauma and fear, saying so long to the security of yesterday's normalcy. Inhale by exhale. Hold your heart ever so gingerly. When you feel the pain arising in your body, flow freely in the feelings that arise from a soul intricately connected to the divine. Be still and remember that I am God. Be still and never forget